Hi, my name is Michael, and this is another development log for my game, Radio General. As you can see, the game looks drastically better than it did before. For the past bit, I've been working mostly on the visuals, which of course, these aren't going to be the final visuals or anything, but if you want to actually show people the game and test it out, well, it needs to look a little bit better than what I had before. So, instead of having a big static map image from before, I've opted to simply layer multiple in-game images together to create a map. This is so that I can alter the scenarios more easily without having to edit large image files in some image editing software every time I want a minor change. So let's go over that. Let's talk about the layering first. So on the background, well, the furthest back, we can see that I've got this desk sprite here. And if we enable disable, we can see that going off and on. The next lowest level is this kind of brown paper texture. So if I enable and disable it, you can see that you can now just see straight through that. Then layered on top of that is a grid, which is a tiled sprite. So basically every one in-game unit is one square of this grid, and so in my game I'm using one in-game unit of distance is 1 kilometer. So each grid cell is going to be 1 square kilometer. So we can see if I enable and disable it, the grid turns off and on. Then on top of that are the various terrain features here, the landmarks I call them. So we can turn them off and on. And the landmarks I've decided to go with for now, we're going to keep it simple. There's going to be 5 types of landmarks. There's going to be towns, which you can see these little housing icons. There's going to be forests. There's going to be roads, rivers, and hills. So that's 5 different distinct terrain features I have in mind, and each one is going to alter the stats of any units that are going to be inside of them. So, for example, units will move more quickly while on roads, but be fairly exposed. Whereas if they're in towns, they'll have higher defense. And if they're in forests, they'll also have a bit higher defense, but their line of sight will be a bit lower. And if they're on a hill, probably they'll have very good sight lines, maybe even a damage bonus because they're elevated, but maybe their defense won't be very high. I haven't decided on exact numbers yet, but for sure that'll be a major feature of the game, using the topographical features of the terrain of the map. Okay. One thing that I forgot to mention is that when layering this map, as we saw from top to bottom, there's the desk, there's this map texture, and then these features. There's also a transparent PNG image, and if I enable and disable it, of course, you won't see anything because it's transparent. And that's, if you saw my previous video on drawing, that's how I actually draw in-game, so I can alter this transparent image that's overlaid on top of everything. Okay. So, I covered that in the last video, but I may as well just show it again. Let's hit play and take a look. Okay, so here, if I draw, I can just draw on this transparent image. I can make some cool drawings here. There we go. And of course I made it so you also can't draw off the side of the board because that just doesn't make sense. As you might have just seen, that just popped up. There's also these I've also made little paper slips that slide into your view, and these will be used for giving you your objectives and notifying you of any new changes that pop up. It's like some assistant just ran in and gave you a piece of paper. So this one's telling you a bit how to play the game. You have to use the radio commands to proceed. And you can drag them around too. So if you don't like where these slips are, you can just throw them in a corner and ignore them. Maybe I'll make a trash can feature in the future. I don't know. So back to talking about maps. No map would be complete without a compass and a scale. So if we look in the bottom left corner here, we can see a compass, and of course using that we can see which way is north, which way is south. Just like with most representations, for me, north is always going to be up and south is going to be down. And we also have a scale here. So here we can see the bottom, this crappy little 1 kilometer here. So it shows that each grid cell is 1 kilometer wide. Another thing that I have also added for the visuals is let's hit play. Let's hit play back up again. Oopsie daisy. And we can see that I've also added labels so we can see here that I've named these towns Lagleas and Stavelot, and they're automatically generated when the game starts. So it looks like I have to fix that label of the river there. Also, when the game's played, these little unit icons appear, and you can drag them around, these little unit pieces, and these are so you can keep track of where you think your units are as well as where you think the enemy units are. And these are generated based on how many units are present in the battle. Okay. I've also been working on a drop-down for radio commands, which is going to be the crux, or the only way to control units. But I'm still working on that, so maybe next time I'll show you guys a bit more on that later. Well, I think that'll be it for today. Thanks for tuning in.